Hi, hello everyone. Welcome back to Offbeat Gyan. This video is on the origin and growth of political parties in England, part 1, because it's a very long period which talks about the history of political parties in England. So I've split it into several parts. This is part 1. So part 1 talks about how these political groups were formed during Stuart rule in England. Stuart Kings. After Elizabeth I died, it was her nephew, James VI of Scotland, who became the new king of England. He was the first of the Stuarts. So he took the title King James I of England. He was succeeded by his son Charles I. So during the period of Charles I, a lot of problems cropped up in England. Charles I was a believer in the divine right theory. So he believed that God had directly appointed him the king of England. So he refused to listen to the parliament. The parliament comprised of the representatives of the English people. And Charles I was very arrogant. He refused to listen to the parliament, so he never called for parliamentary meetings. So the first political groups in England were formed during Stuart rule, during the period of Charles I. So there was a struggle for power between King Charles I and the English Parliament. This led to the English Civil War, which was from 1642 to 1649. Even after around 2 or 3 years after 1649, there were problems in England. But with the execution of Charles I, we consider 1649 to be the period when the Civil War more or less came to an end. So in the picture, you can see two types of soldiers. Look at their dress, you'll understand the difference. You have the Cavaliers on one side and the Roundheads on the other side. The Cavaliers or Royalists were supporters of King Charles I. The Roundheads or the Puritans or the Parliamentarians, they were the supporters of Parliament. If you look at the picture, you can see that their hair has been cut in a round shape. Very short hair cut in a round shape. That is why they were called the Roundheads. By religion, this group, they were Puritans. So the Civil War, it broke out between the supporters of the king and the supporters of the parliament. The Royalists on one side, the Royalists are also known as Cavaliers, and the Roundheads or the Puritans or the supporters of Parliament, the Parliamentarians on the other side. Now coming to a very shocking and important event of that period, that was the execution of Charles I. King Charles I and the Royalist army was defeated in the English Civil War. Charles I, he was caught and he was beheaded. His head was cut off. This happened in 1649. And after this, England became a commonwealth. Monarchy or rule by kings came to an end. And England became a commonwealth, and Oliver Cromwell, the leader of the Roundheads, the leader of the Puritans, the leader of the Parliamentarians, he became the new ruler. He did not take the title of king. He called himself the Lord Protector. And the Puritans, they were very strict, and roughly from 1649 to 1660 they were in power. With the death of Oliver Cromwell, the Puritans actually became weaker. His son was not capable enough to rule over England, and the people of England also were very unhappy with the strictness and the rigidity of the Puritans. All entertainment, everything was stopped, and they became very restless. So what they did was, they invited Charles II, the son of the dead king Charles I, to come back to England. Charles II was living in exile in Europe, and he was invited by the English people to come back and take over the English throne. He came back, he became King Charles II of England in 1660. So, this 1660, what happened in 1660 in England is called restoration. Restoration of kingship, restoration of monarchy, restoration of rule by kings. Now, towards the later part of his life, King Charles II, he started showing an interest in Roman Catholicism. And this actually threatened the English people, because the English people doubted, they felt threatened, they were scared, they were afraid of the Roman Catholic religion. So they had another fear. Charles II, when he died, he would be succeeded by his openly Roman Catholic brother, James II. At that point of time, during the period of Charles II, he had the title Duke of York. So when Charles II died, this guy would become the next king of England, and the people felt threatened because they did not want a Roman Catholic to rule over them. The English hated and feared Roman Catholicism. So a bill was introduced by Anthony Ashley Cooper, the first Earl of Shaftesbury, to prevent or keep out James II, a Roman Catholic, from becoming King of England. And those who supported the exclusion bill, they were called the Whigs. Those who opposed the exclusion bill, they were called the Tories. Therefore, the father of the English political party system is Anthony Ashley Cooper, the first Earl of Shaftesbury. And despite the introduction of the exclusion bill, James II became the King of England, and his Roman Catholic tendencies actually started worrying the people, irritating the people, and the English people wrote a letter to his daughter, James II's daughter, Mary. Mary was Protestant, and she was married to William of Orange. William of Orange, he was the king of Holland. He was the de facto ruler of Holland. He was also a Protestant by religion. So, James II was deposed, and in a very peaceful, bloodless manner, William of Orange and Mary, they arrived in England from Holland, and they became the new rulers of England. So that is why it is called the Glorious Revolution, because it happened without any bloodshed, without any violence, and very peacefully. The transition of power happened very peacefully. So now coming back to the interesting bit, the Tories and the Whigs. As I have told you earlier, those who supported the exclusion bill, they were called the Whigs, and those who opposed the exclusion bill, they were called the Tories. But both groups worked together to depose James II and invite his daughter Mary to come and take over the English throne. Now, the Tories were more in number. They were numerous. Most of them, the majority, they were very rich landowners. They had a lot of land and property, and all of them were members of the Anglican Church, and they supported monarchy or rule by kings and queens. The Whigs, some of them were landowners. Most of them were actually businessmen. They had a lot of commercial interests. Some of them, they had their own manufacturing units, and by religion they were dissenters, or some of them were Puritans. They were supporters of the Parliament. So with this, I am concluding the first part of the videos on origin of political parties. I hope everything is clear. Soon I will come back with part 2, which will add to your information on the history of the political party system in England. So I am signing off for now. Thank you.